YouTube, it is Mike with Grinding Gears Garage. Today we're working on our LT 250R restoration once again. Last week we rebuilt the rear master cylinder, right here, and today we're going to be working on rebuilding the rear brake caliper. I'm not sure of the condition of this. It hasn't been used in a very long time. When we bought this four-wheeler, the rear brake was totally disconnected. There was no banjo bolt even in the brake, so we're not even sure if there's a ton of water, how rusty this is. I do have a spare laying around, so worst case, if we run into what we ran into last week, this thing's really corroded, we can grab the spare and we'll rebuild that. And we're going to be using All Balls rebuild kit, of course. So let's move over to the bench. We'll go ahead and start taking our brake caliper apart. So we're over here at our bench vise. Just go ahead and taking the brake caliper apart slightly. We have our two pad pins right here. They're held in place with these keepers. So you want to bend them out of the way with a screwdriver. And they are a 12 millimeter. You could break these loose while the brake caliper's on the four-wheeler to make it a little easier. So we got those broken loose, and then on the back side here, I'll just flip this around. Right here is your slider. So we're going to take a 6 millimeter and go ahead and break that loose as well. And we back this all the way out. And then our mount pulls out just like that. So this is the mount that mounts to the four-wheeler. You can see this slider here is pretty rusty. So we're going to clean that up obviously before we put it back together. And we're going to move everything back to the bench here. We're going to pull these pins all the way out, our 12 millimeter. And there's our pads are removed. And we can also pull this slider out to check the condition, which is actually isn't in bad shape, surprisingly. So first things first, we are going to take our parking brake off, and that should expose the inner cylinder. So we got these two bolts broken loose. They are a 12 millimeter. We are not going to be putting this back on. This is your parking brake. Your cable comes in here, and there's normally an arm bolted onto this, which works on like a screw fashion, which will run your brake in on the rear for a parking brake. So we're going to remove these. We're going to save the bolts because we have a block off plate that we're going to put on. So this is your assembly. Look how nasty all that is. It's real rusty. See, it's been sitting a long time. So the way this works, so there's threads on the inside there. You can kind of see it. The way this works, let me see, is that a 12? Yes, it is. But this is so locked it won't turn. Normally this, as this goes in, it runs in like that and applies pressure to this pin, which should. Look at that gross fluid coming out of there. But as it runs in, your pin pops out. So what we're going to do is we're going to drive this pin. Normally you apply air pressure in here and it pops the pin out, but you saw how much that did not move. I'm going to grab a punch and we'll finish driving that out. It's not the right way to do it, but with how nasty this is from sitting, it's probably going to be the only way we're going to be able to easily get the piston out to get to the seals back in here. So we got the piston to pop out actually after we got past being flush here. It actually moved pretty well. So here's our piston here. There's a little bit of rust, not rust, but like wear marks on it from being dry. So we're going to try and clean this up with some Scotch-Brite take some of that shit off of there. And then you can see on the inside here, you have, let's see if I can get this to focus. On the inside here, you have a seal and then like a dust O-ring on the inside. So we're gonna pull these out. I have a couple of these dentist picks here. Make easy work of this. So we have our dust seal first. If only it would come out. There we go. So we have our dust seal first, which is thinner. So that's removed. And then on the inside is a fatter oil seal. Out just like that. So you can see the difference in the two. We're going to set those off to the side. I'm going to grab some brake clean and clean out our inner cylinder. There's also a seal on the back side here where the emergency brake comes in. So we're going to try and remove that. That one may be a little tougher. But if you come in from the back side, she actually pops right out. So there's two there as well, I think. So there's an O-ring here, which is on the screwdriver. And there appears to be a... So I checked the kit. There's only one O-ring on the back side. I'm not sure what I'm seeing there. It may just be a pocket. But I'm going to take some brake clean. We're going to clean this inner bore out. There's some gunk from sitting. So we're going to take some brake clean, spray all that out, make sure it's nice and clean before we go ahead and reinstall our new pieces. So our new all balls kit comes with basically everything that we're going to need. It has two new dust boots here for the main slider that bolts into your frame here. That goes in actually this pocket right here. Has two new ones that go in there, which go on this, which we have to reuse. We have to reuse our keeper plate here for the caliper pads, but it comes with two new bolts with Loctite on them already. So these we can throw out. Comes with a new cap for our banjo, or for our bleeder valve actually. Comes with a new one of those. Comes with new crush washers for our banjo bolt. Comes with two new, the oil seal and our dust seal for the caliper. And then it has a new O-ring for the backside where it comes through. We're also going to be rebuilding, oh, it has this as well. I forgot about this. It has the new, this is the slider that's on the pad here, or on the frame here. It has a new dust boot as well for that. As well as rebuilding, we're going to be putting new brake pads and a Lone Star Racing block off plate for the emergency brake. So first things first, we want to grab some brake fluid. And I'm going to put some gloves on real quick so I don't get crap all over my hands. So we have our brake fluid here. This is 5.1, which is a synthetic DOT3, DOT4 style. So we're going to go ahead and just put a little splash in here and coat the walls, the inside of the caliper. We're going to take our new O-ring for the back side, which is here, new O-ring. We're going to put that in first. So I can get it out of the plastic. There we go. Put a little oil on it so it's easier to install. I'm just going to go ahead and push that into place. After some very careful poking and prodding, I got that O-ring in. So next is our new oil seal, which is the larger, the thicker of the two. So we're going to, once again, put some brake fluid on it to lube her on up. Since this one's a little larger, should be fairly easy to go in. There we go, she popped right in. So then it's the dust seal, which is the thinner of the two. Why did I put brake fluid on everything? Now my hands are slippery. So same thing, we're just going to put a little brake fluid on there. And ta-da! Just pop it into the step that's in there. There we go. So all of our seals are in there. Now we're going to take our piston, put a little bit of a coating to help glide her on in. And basically, once we line up the pin with the hole on the back side, there we go, she pops right in. So now we're going to take a rag and clean up all of the brake fluid that we put on everything. I'll clean it up a little bit better. But we're going to make sure all this is clean before we put any of the brake pads or anything on, because if that gets on the disc, it kind of defeats the point of having brake pads, because it's all oily and they're not going to work. So we're going to clean all this up. We're going to go ahead and put the rest of our boots and the rest of our parts back on with new brake pads and our block off plate, and then we're ready to slap it on the four-wheeler and bleed the rear brakes. So now that we got the piston in, we can grab our block off plate here from Lone Star Racing. You can pop that on. I'm trying to think, this bolts to, worst case we can flip it around. So our 2 bolts for that are somewhere over here. There they are. Knew they were in there somewhere. So we're going to go ahead and bolt this bad boy on. And then we can put in our one of our new dust boots here. This is for the one that's on. This one goes onto here. And it goes into this part of the caliper. So this is the fun part. Trying to get this. I'm going to spray a little oil. There we go. Slides on in there with a little extra oil. Then we have our 2 dust caps here, which go on this one here. And I think they're identical. Let me open these up here. They don't seem to be different. So we're just going to go ahead and pop them in quick. There we go. So there's that. Then our slider goes on, but first we're going to put new brake pads in. Our pins. So we have some anti-seize here. Just want to apply a little bit to these pins so they don't lock up on the brake pads. Now there's a little bit of there's a spring that sits inside your caliper on the back side of the wall here. So when putting them in, you may have to just give it a little bit of a push. So we're gonna spread this stuff on here. So we got a nice good coating on there. Go ahead and pop these in. Oops. What did I forget? Where's my plate at? I forgot the locking plate, like a doofus. So there we go, locking plate on. And now, I'm going to put some more Never Seize on this pin here before we place it into the boot. Take a rag, try to clean this up a little so it just doesn't get everywhere. And then I'm going to apply a slight coat to this as well. Usually guys put like white lithium grease. I found anti-seize works just as well. So then we're going to take this, pop it into here. So after some fiddling around, we got everything. I tore the boot a little bit, but it'll be okay. I got the sliders and everything back on, pads on, so I'm going to tighten these 12 millimeters up, and then she's ready to go back over to the four-wheeler. So then we got that lined up. We're going to bend the locking plates back up against, so that one there, and that one there. So what we're going to do, take a hammer and a punch, just make sure it's bent up against. So there we go. New pads, rebuilt caliper, block off plate. So we're going to set the four-wheeler down, go ahead and go over and install this back into onto the swing arm, and then we're ready to bleed the brakes, which we'll cover in the next video. So thanks for watching, guys. We got the caliper on here. I actually rebuilt the wrong master cylinder. It's for I guess 85 to 90 used the same master cylinder, and then 91, 92 used a different mounting holes. I have a picture of it all upload. But the mounting holes are closer together, so that master cylinder won't work. So I gotta buy another one. But we got the caliper on at least. We have to figure out what we're gonna do for a master cylinder yet, but that's not that big of a deal. So the caliper's on, I just have to tighten down the disc here. But thanks for watching. Next week we are going to be rebuilding the front calipers on this four-wheeler. We're going to do both of them. They worked previously, but figured since we're rebuilding all the rear stuff, might as well rebuild the fronts. The master cylinder's like brand new, so we don't have to worry about that. But thanks for watching, guys. Once again, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Check out our other LT250R videos. I'll put a card up here in the corner of the video with the playlist for the rest of them. And we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.